Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, y'all. For those of you who it's your first time here, I am Dr. Rela Violet Botts Ward. I am the instructor for the Black Feminist Healing Arts Community course here at UCSF. And I'm so excited to say that this panel is about our Black Girl Quarantine exhibition. I don't know if y'all heard, but we doing a real dope, real lit exhibition series, unapologetically for and by Black women, honoring our everyday round the way healing arts. And that exhibition is going to be this Friday. So if y'all are local, come through Agency Oakland, 5 p.m. on Friday, free food, good vibes, all that jazz. Today's panel is our very last panel of our teaching series, and it also is the virtual artist talk for our Black Girl Quarantine exhibit. This exhibit was an attempt to honor how Black women were mourning, grieving, processing, and healing through the pandemic. And what a gift that we have two of the artists who were featured in Black Girl Quarantine here with us today, Liz and Jess. Many of you all know our good sis Jess because Jess is also a Communiversity student and one of our wonderful affinity group facilitators. So we are so excited to welcome Jess into this space in this role. And we also have the wonderful and brilliant Lizette, who is former roomies and besties with Adana, who is our Communiversity coordinator. So it's just a lot of love, a lot of sisterhood, and a lot of vibes today, okay? Want to give y'all that disclaimer so y'all know what kind of virtual space of love and communal care y'all stepping up into. So with all of that being said, I am so excited to welcome you all to this teaching. Adana, our wonderful Communiversity coordinator, is dropping all kind of detailed information in the chat for you all so you can learn more about what this space is and what we do here. But in the meantime, I will just say that this course is about bringing community and the university together to think critically about intergenerational and integrative healing arts for everyday round the way Black women and girls. And before we begin, I do want to do a land acknowledgement to just honor the Ohlone people of this land that UCSF sits on. And I also want to do my image description, which is a practice that we lean into in this space to enhance accessibility. So for those of you all who have been here, I'm calling in with a similar backdrop. I got my books behind me. I have on my blue glasses. I have on some colorful chain earrings and a bright green sweater top, my usual dark brown lip, and I got a little swoop with my braids today. And I got them on both sides, like a little scarf. So that's the look, that's the vibe. And so now I would love to welcome our panelists to just introduce yourselves really briefly. I'll read your bios and y'all could just say, hey, and then we will officially begin our panel. So Lizette London, formerly Terry, is a researcher, visual artist, and community organizer from New York. And Jessica Allen is a doula, artist, and visionary with a relentless determination to ignite families towards larger scale visions of revolution and intergenerational healing. And y'all can read those full bios in the chat, but I just want to invite y'all to just say hey to the folks. If you could just say hey and give us your image description, and then we will dive into our panel.
Liz, I'll go first. All right. Hi everyone, beautiful, beautiful people, everybody. So my image description, I have a white shirt, I have some colorful earrings that are kind of bordered with a blue with all kinds of colors. I have a kind of leopard print, kind of cat eye frame, glasses, some twisty locks, and a red lip. And hi, everyone. I'll pass it to Liz.
Hey everybody, I'm Liz. I have on a little green satin shirt number. Kind of reminds me of like a shirt from like the 1920s or something cute like that.
Yeah.
And some cute sunglasses and a little brown lip.
That's right.
Yes, we all giving glasses and lip today. I love it. I'm here for it. Yay. So, as I mentioned before, this panel is really about thinking through how everyday Black women made it through the pandemic and how we used art and creativity as a guide. This whole panel series has been about how Black women from across the country, across generations, are thinking about integrative health, thinking about well-being and healthcare in these radical revolutionary ways that don't often get acknowledged or celebrated in the traditional healthcare field, right? So we're ending with this conversation about the pandemic as a moment where we were dealing with layers of harm and violence, right? Physical, spiritual, emotional, racialized, gendered violence. A lot of us mourning and grieving a lot of our loved ones. It was a heavy time for a lot of us. And this exhibition, Black Girl Quarantine, was birthed from this place of heaviness within Black Women Healing's collective. And I'll give y'all a little context. I taught Black feminist healing arts for the very first time at UC Berkeley in 2020, summer of 2020. And Jessica was a student in my class at that time. And it was such a powerful, dynamic space of majority Black women and women of color who were undergrads at Berkeley. And we, Toyin had just been murdered, Breonna Taylor had been murdered, and there was so much heaviness in the class, and yet there was also so much healing. And so that class actually really inspired the Black Girl Quarantine exhibition, because I wanted to make room. I wanted to provide a space for myself and my students and my homegirls and Black women and girls across the country to like talk about what it's feeling like for us, because there were particular experiences that we as Black women and girls had during the pandemic, and particularly how we created and leaned into artistic practice to get us through those times. So I'm so honored to be joined by Liz and by Jess, who are going to talk to us a little bit more about their artistic and creative process during quarantine. So I want to invite you all to first just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, what you love, and what is your relationship like to Black feminist healing arts. And then we'll get into some of the specificity around what your art practice looked like in quarantine.
I can go. Hi everybody. Good afternoon again. Good evening if you're on the East Coast. So again, my name is Liz London. I'm a New York native. I'm the proud daughter of a city girl from Manila, Philippines, and I'm a down south Black man from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm currently residing in Atlanta. I am a visual artist, researcher, a burgeoning art historian, and my thing is Black feminist visual arts and culture. I love images. I love reading images. I love film, photography, creative writing, and I love teaching folks about the history of Black women throughout time, inserting themselves into the visual archives, beginning with Sojourner Truth from the 20th century. up until the everyday around the way girls like Reese says on Instagram taking selfies. That's who I am. And today I'll also be talking about the images that I took with my former, but also my lifelong sis, Adana, former roomie, excuse me. Me and Adana lived together for 4 years. I just separated for the love of my life. Last year, I decided to relocate to Atlanta. But when Adana and I were living together, we experienced the pandemic together. And in addition to having really deep conversations every day about life, love, healing, trauma, family, you name it, we decided to take images of ourselves to kind of just remember, create a visual memory, record the time. And we used our bedrooms as our backdrop, the landscapes onto which we were going to create. And from there, it also brought us closer because we had a chance to kind of not only see ourselves, but see each other and just be vulnerable with each other, because sitting in front of a lens, taking images of yourself is quite, a feeling of being, just taking off layers of yourself, if you will, if you think about it in a deeper way than just, taking a photo. So that's who I am. And I'm so excited to be here and being in conversations with you all, and Jess and Reed. Thank you so much. I want y'all to know that Reed has been doing this since the beginning of time. When I was a student at Spelman, Reed was in front of the classroom talking to all of us about what it meant to be young, brilliant Black girl artists and scholars and researchers, and what it meant to be in community. So I love it here. So thank you.
We love you here, sis. We love you here. Thank you so much, Liz. And Liz is being a little humble and modest. So I guess I'm going to just have to brag on my sis a little bit. She just got accepted to the PhD program at Emory University, the very first African-American studies department at Emory. And what they say in the Southeast region or something, it's a prestigious program, y'all, that my sister has just been accepted to. So please drop some claps, hearts, congrats in the chat. So yes, soon to be Dr. Liz on the way on that journey. And also just did a dope film on Black queer love for ATL Pride, and also runs a dope organization for Black women writers. So yes, you'll get into this more, but I just need to, sprinkle some sauce on my sis intro, because she didn't give herself enough sauce. And I will also say, Lizette is a little Spelman sister of mine. We met in the Writing Center in 2014. And so it's been a pleasure and a joy just watching you blossom. And I'm so inspired by your artistic practice. I also, during the pandemic, taught a class at Merritt College in Oakland called, what was the class called, girl? Oh, Black Women in Radical Media. That's what it was called. Black Women in Radical Media. And Lizette was a panelist for that class as well. And I could share the video with y'all of that panel, but you on that panel just spoke so brilliantly about like what it means to see, how we see ourselves, how we see each other, and what it means to be seen by and witnessed by a Black woman. And so I'm excited to hear you talk more about you and Adana's process, because that was such a powerful part of like how I received y'all's art submission for the exhibition. So anyway, I'm just happy to have you.
I'm sorry I missed all of that. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who's sending all their love in the chat.
Not her talking about, I'm sorry I missed all of that.
I'm sorry.
You gotta remember all. So okay, Jess, we need you to give us the flex intro. Sprinkle all the sauce. I'll come in if I need to.
Hi, y'all. Okay, so who am I? Let's see. I'm definitely divine, witchy, alchemist femme. Okay, I'm a mother. My daughter just turned 18. She's graduating this Friday. So that's a big deal. And I'm very proud of that. 18 years, honey. So that's yeah, that's like my biggest accomplishment because my daughter, she's amazing. So I'm also a dog mom and I'm a plant mommy. So I'm a local homegirl, birth worker, doula, artist, creative, healer, generational cycle breaker, community weaver, a lifelong learner, teacher, educator, scholar, a nerd, a geographer, world traveler, and a nature bae. That's me. So I'm currently at UC Berkeley. I am working on 2 degrees, African American Studies and Geography. I'm class of 2024, full ride, scholarships, just doing my thing. And yeah, outside of getting the degrees, one of the things that's been really important to me was, building, lots of like networks and social ecosystems. And so when I got to UC Berkeley, I was just like, whoa, this is big. This is a lot, it's a lot to take in. And I had to meet the right people, meet my friends, and not just classmates or peers, but just like also just people who are doing the everyday work. I always look for my people, and I found Ree on the 6th floor, AFAM department at UC Berkeley in the halls looking fly, how she is. And I was like, who's this? And I was like, we have to talk. And it was just like instant. It was just like, wow, like it was just a really, really just natural, organic flow. And so yeah, I just, definitely felt like I really met someone that was gonna just offer so much of wisdom. And I was like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to, take in sisterhood. And I got really plugged in with Ree, with the groups that you were doing and Fanny. So it was just really beautiful. And then also came across to come and I like enrolled immediately when I saw Black Feminist Healing Arts class and you were the professor. Okay, Dr. Ree. So I was just like, I got to get in this class. And it came right on time. And we talk about 2020 and we talk about how, like you were saying, what we were grappling with, the grief, the constant violence, the government playing in our faces. It was just constant. It was just constant. And we were just, how do we process that? Like you were saying, and it's just like, it was an overload and we were all taxed. So Ree has been creating sanctuaries, altars for Black women and Black femmes in academia, providing us all of the rubrics and just having kind of like the blueprint for the healing and reminding us what our, Black feminist ancestors have taught us and have been writing about and been, you just integrated everything from Alice Walker, from, Toni K. Bambara, we talk about In Our Mother's Gardens, we talked about Salt Eaters, Healing is No Trifling Matter. We revisited Waiting to Exhale and just looking at really important, crucial parts about sisterhood and communal care. And it just inspired me. It really cracked my heart open and just reminded me of like, yes, like this is to me, it was like, it was time to kind of really start the integration and initiate something. And I was, of course, galvanized by what was happening in that summer. You remember, all of us remember that summer. We're still processing that summer. And yeah, I just feel like your Black Feminist Healing Arts class was definitely central to a lot of my offerings and finding respite and spiritual epiphanies. And yeah, and just on my journey at UC Berkeley, it's been crucial. So shout out to you and shout out to me. My project or what I was working on is my art and really taking that serious. So having the latitude to do that, having the space and the spiritual readiness and writing and, finding my voice, being courageous, doing that heart work, not just with myself, but sharing it to my family, sharing it to my community. And who else beyond, I'm not sure how many lives I've touched just with like me just being me, but I definitely feel like my divine energy and my divine femdom like is definitely evoked in as a space to release an outlet through Black feminism healing arts. So thank you for allowing that and letting me be seen in that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sis. And yes, I just have to shout out how we first met. We was both waiting for the office hours with Brandy Katzenese on the 6th floor at Berkeley. And I was like, oh, girl, I love your locks. And she was like, girl, I love your hair.
Earrings, all of that.
Talking, and I was like, girl, I'm doing a healing circle tonight if you want to come through, because I was doing Black women's healing circles monthly at Berkeley. So then that's where we met. And yeah, I appreciate you so much talking about the first version of this class. This is my second time teaching this class, y'all, and this is my first time doing it as like an official community course. But yeah, like just the way that we held space for each other through 2020 in the course was like, it was deep, because it was like active, like so much was actively happening. And then we were creating and processing together through literature, through art, through sisterhood. And it was such an honor to have you in that class, sis. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I know that y'all both like touched on this, but I want to talk a little bit more specifically about like what y'all's creative healing arts process looked like during quarantine. So I'm going to share my screen with the folks, and I'm going to just show y'all just a little sneak peek of our virtual exhibition and of the art of Created. So y'all see our beautiful, magnificent community coordinator, Adana. And this image, so Liz and Adana submitted like a series of images together for the exhibition. And so I would love, Adana, I might put you on the spot a little later to see if you could talk to the folks more about Sisters of the Sun, which is a collective for Black women's healing in New York that Adana runs. But I know that that was also a big part of Adana's process that came up in these images. And then we have these gorgeous photos of Liz with Octavia Butler in the corner. I love it. This is my one though, sis. This one with the hair flip is like, 2020 ain't gonna kill my shine.
It's I just love clavicle. I love it.
I love this photo. And then we have another beautiful image of Adana. So this is the Liz and Adana collection. And then these are some gorgeous pieces by Jess. And I would just love for y'all to share with the folks a little more about like what these art pieces represent for you and what your process was creating and curating. And this final piece is a piece that Jess commissioned by one of her friends to support with the radical care work that she was doing on behalf of Black women through 2020. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And yeah, excited to hear from y'all as you can elaborate on those art pieces and also what that creative process in quarantine looked like.
Oh, Liz, do you want to go first? Okay. So I was talking about, 2020 was a portal. It unveiled truth. It was a collective activation to find our role, in Black liberation and figure out like what our gifts were, what was our offerings. And I feel like despite this deadly virus that was roaming the streets, we were still out there in the streets and fighting and for liberation. And my daughter is a radical monarch and she's the inaugural group, and that's based on kind of my practices in caring about liberation for all. And so we were on the streets, and I came across so many people, Black femmes and Black women, and I, with an X, and I just really, seeing how we were holding so much. I brought Gopal, which is sacred smoke, which is the resin from tree that bleeds from the trees, and it's like sacred, and it's a part of ceremony. And I would burn that and just offer like cleanses and limpias. And, just really being able to find like that we needed each other. We needed each other. And so, the Black Femme Supremacy Project, it was just a space for me to like, I'm just a love bug and I just want to like to pour out love, right? And like care. And like, I brought herbs, I brought lavender, I brought, sage, and like would go pick, I had a farm right by my house, and I would go like bring and like collect and forage and, just make bundles and like sometimes soup, you know what I mean? Just like trying to find ways to take care of my community who was just exhausted and tired and nervous system was overtaxed. And, that's what I found was my role, like I could be out on the streets. I could also be taking care of being a community weaver and, providing lots of love and care, like through art. And so my homegirl, my bestie, Inez Salazar Hunter, she created this image, the Divine Black Femme Supremacy. It was a watercolor piece, but I had like told her like I wanted to have, folks who I was like engaging with, especially on social media, and I wanted their faces. I wanted us to like, show up in our divineness and our magic. And she did it. She did that piece. It was beautiful. So I hope that when y'all look at it, you'll find, some beauty. And it's definitely been used in a lot of the, publications and, for the projects that Ree's been doing. So grateful to that. But, again, like the embodiment of being a community weaver in preparation of love and care packages that, like I said, had these love letters and local art from Oakland artists, even Frances Mede, who's a local Oakland artist, mama. And like I said, Black feminist texts. I had, also I was receiving and like actively telling white folks to send me some money on Venmo. And I was using that to buy, there's Revolutionary Books as a Black owned bookstore, all the Black owned bookstores, I would like work with them, and all of those, that money would go and pour back into Black dollars. And then also was like feeding and giving to Black women and femmes. And, like bell hooks, all about love, which is, we all know that's a sacred text, Tony K. Bambara, Salt Eaters. So I would like make care packages, like it had all of that. And like, I would deliver it to the house, and it was just like, I think it just was so good and generating for the folks that received them. And outside of that, communal radical care, like, which is like Black feminist praxis. I did my own artwork, and like that artwork that Ree had displayed was definitely something I've never shared, because it's just so personal. And like, I am a creative and I have to create as an outlet, and as an expression. But sharing that was vulnerable because many of my pieces are really connected to just downloads that I get. And I just really just trust my hands. And I just like, what is this? What did I create? And that particular art piece, the last image that y'all saw was art that helped me process a surgery that I had, and an ectopic pregnancy that I had that just resulted in so much loss. But it just helped me like understand that my body shapeshifted, and it just offered a space for new beginnings and, generativity and acceptance and just peace, and it just was a very powerful emblem of my resiliency and just like how, I can find micro healing. That's what I call it, like really find like putting those pieces back together, soul retrieval, and like, being able to feel that deeply on a spiritual level. So I just was like so galvanized by like, oh my God, what art is opening up for me, that I was like, would post it and like, like artist access, like y'all need to try these new like ways to just trust your process, trust your art process. Like, don't judge your work. Everyone should try. It doesn't matter if you don't consider yourself an artist. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like you are, on that level of Gander, like you can create art, and it's so valuable and so important to your journey. So that's kind of like been my space and my pedagogy and like what I offer. I feel like I'm so grateful because now my daughter has found her rhythm and her creative outlets. Like she now uses that as a meditative state just to do for herself. And like anytime my nieces come over, I'm like, let's do art. And they're just in it. And we have found healing, y'all. And it's like, this is that offering of intergenerational healing. And like, I call it multidimensional healing, you know? So I feel like art is access. So that's my piece. And I'll pass it to Liz.
Yes, sis. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really appreciated like your care package offerings. I received one and it was so beautiful. And I remember I was just having a really hard time too, like in 2020 at a certain point, and Jess was like, girl, I'm about to come over. I'm about to bring you a care package and I'm taking you to the beach. I was like, okay. And we went to the beach and just like read my cards for me, and we just had like a sister circle of care. And it was like your care packages, it wasn't just the materials themselves, but it was like the energy that you poured into the materials and the ways that you showed up in your body to like hold space. Like you were a container, and those care packages were a container. And like at one of the lowest times in my life, you know, like you came and like offered that care, and it just meant the world to me, sis. So I feel so grateful that I got to receive, you know, one of those care packages, and just the ways that you were just thinking about what it means to show up in care in moments of chaos, you know, like with your physical body, like with your hands curating this care and then delivering it like person by person, you know what I mean? And I also just want to honor that that's a lot of labor, you know, and that labor that you deserve to be honored for and celebrated for and compensated for and experiencing reciprocity around in whatever ways that feels in alignment. And I love that you were doing that work, and I hope that you felt like you were able to experience reciprocity with that work. And I love how you talk about you had this community practice, and then you also had your own personal practice, and how those two were in conversation with each other. So
Yes.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you. I appreciate you for honoring that, and feels good to be seen. And also just that's what I do. I don't need I'm happy to be recognized, but I'm also like, I do it because I love my people so much deeply, and I will do whatever it takes, you know, to be an offering and contribution to our liberation. So I wish I could do more. Thank
I
you.
feel you, sis. Yes, thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
We
Rita.
see you, and we appreciate you, sis.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you.
I loved your images, Jess. Thank you for sharing it with us because it was your first time. I love the colors. So yes, thank you as well. So the images that you all, sorry, I'm laughing because I'm a photographer, y'all, and I actually feel like I'm a little bit retired, but I don't sit in front of my camera as much as I should as somebody who loves portraiture. And so just looking at the images again and just seeing myself, I'm like, what a time. What a time. So to give some context, I was finishing up my master's program at NYU during that time. I also have a classmate in here from Gallatin, NYU Gallatin, which is the School of Individualized Study, McLean. Hey, but my master's thesis was centered around Alice Walker's In Search of Our Mother's Garden. And part of my argument was just following the questions that Alice posed in her writing about knowing our lineage, asking ourselves the questions. And I worked throughout those 2 years from 2018 to 2020 to answer the questions that Alice posed in terms of just recovering and tracing those genealogies. And Bell Hooks is also a major guide for me in terms of the oppositional gaze. I was reading Hobson's work towards a Black feminist visual critic lens, critical lens. Toni Morrison, Octavia Butler. So during that time in 2020, I was submerged and finding refuge in the garden of those wonderful, brilliant Black women and Black queer women artists. And like I mentioned, Adana and I were getting really close to each other. And the second floor where we lived in our brownstone, where Adana still lives, became it became our garden, to be honest. Like it was a peaceful space for us. I mean, Adana was buying more plants. I was in my little corner just gagged at Octavia writing, in the 70s and 80s about things that were happening in 2020. I was finishing a feature script about future New York that was eerily similar to what I was experiencing in the present time, but knowing that script preceded the lockdown was absolutely insane. So I was just dealing with a lot of different thoughts about what it meant to be a part of a lineage of Black women artists, what it meant to meet myself in their writings, in their images, in their thoughts. Because I don't just like looking at images, y'all. I like to read their words about why they created an image, or, even if they haven't wrote about that image, what was a novel that they published around that same time that could indicate, or give me a little bit more information about where this artist or this writer was in this time. And so I forgot how the conversation came up, but Adana knows I love pulling her to do a little quick portrait series. But usually there are times of major celebrations, so for example like birthdays and things like that. But I forgot the conversation exactly, but we set up our rooms to be our little portrait studios. So I took Adana's photos in her room and she took my photos in my room. Adana is not a photographer. However, she is great with directions, and I can tell she loves me because of the ways that she images me, even when I just give her my camera and I set up the shot for her. I tell her what I want in the frame, why I want in the frame, and she never disappoints me in the ways that I can be in practice with her in terms of imaging myself. And so Adana, I love you so freaking much because you've always been my road dog in that sense, just helping me to capture self in time, and allowing it to be commemorative. And so when I took Adana's pictures, for me, what was big was ensuring that her plants were in the photos. We didn't use a lot of external lights. I was telling just before, we opened up the room to all of the attendees for the Zoom, but we worked with what we have, and we didn't work with what we had because we were lacking resources. I had lights, I had all the fancy things and things like that, but to me it was important to just see ourselves in our environments the way they were, the way our bodies are normally in our environments, in our sacred spaces of our bedrooms. And so they were casual images that ended up becoming really dope and important images, because now those are images that Adana and I can show our kids, can show community kids, our nibblings, you know, it, who we were, who we were in that time. What did we look like? What did our bodies look like? What could we have possibly been feeling through our expressions in our faces? That was another big thing for me, especially because I was doing a close reading of Carrie Mae Weems' kitchen table series for my master's thesis. So just understanding the gaze, what did it mean for us to look directly into the lens with most of our images, not look away, to face ourselves, to face the person who would be on the receiving end of the images, and what did it mean to invite the onlooker to be in conversation with us, even though we wouldn't be there in the flesh, but we were there in image. What did it mean in the way where, we mentioned my Octavia Butler books being in my image? I did that on purpose, because one day, what if that image meets somebody who's also an Octavia Butler stan? That's what they could write probably tons on what that might have meant to me at that time during the pandemic. For Adana, her plants, the color she was wearing in her attire, her even wearing a Black Woman Radical shirt. Adana is so community driven, and she's such a gem for Black women in the Brooklyn community. What did it mean for her to be to just take up space in that way and show that she's in solidarity with a lot of different communities and orgs? And so that was the really dope thing about it, and I had so much fun shooting. Adana, I think it was fun. It's also funny, and I was telling Jess that Adana and I, we started living together in 2018, but 2020 was when we really got to know each other. And we have a very small space, y'all. Just to give you a little bit more context, we didn't have a living room together. I lived in the living room, but that's what you do in Brooklyn when you're trying to make it work and get your life. Because you're going for your dreams. And so our living room was the shared space that we created, whether it was if she was in my room, if I was in her room, if we was sitting at our high top brown kitchen table, talking about our relationships throughout time, talking about the things that we learned, talking about our parents, talking about what we wanted, you know, in our early 20s, our mid 20s, what we can see for ourselves in the future. And so these photos are kind of like a love note, a visual love note to each other. They're for the archives, they're for the future, but they were for the present. And they were just a way to celebrate, I believe, the bonding, our bonding, and us becoming sisters and loving each other in practice. And so, yeah, I love, and I actually never made those images public. And so with rehaving them at the exhibition on Friday, I am just like, whoa. Whoa. And I wish I could be there out on the West Coast, but I know that the images are in great hands, especially as they will be in conversation with all of the other great artworks by the other artists in the exhibition. So I'm just excited to hear, you know, what people get from it and how they feel. And I hope they encourage folks to take more portraits of themselves, to find themselves in time, to contextualize their lives on the continuum of time. It's so important because, you know, before us, there were other us's, if you kind of get my drift. We were here before, and it's so funny because I was reading Belle's work again. I forgot the book exactly. It might have been Sisters of the Yam. But Belle was talking about essentially before there even was life on earth, we were in darkness, and our spirits were in darkness. But the darkness was nothing to be afraid of. That's where we were also being held. Until this day, those spirits are still holding us in time. And so I think that when, especially as artists, especially as people who are recognizing themselves in relation to the community, beyond the community, to the world, beyond this world, to the infinite time of space, then that's when you really unlock something super powerful. And I feel like that's also when you begin to have deeper conversations with a lot of different entities and spirits across time, whether it's present, beforehand, in the future. And so I really hope that people understand and can feel activated, but also find agency in seeing portraiture as Jess mentioned, also as well as a portal, and stepping into that portal and meeting parallel timelines, and also kind of growing your art in a different way, and maybe hopefully using that as your own little digital garden or visual garden. So yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Boo. I'm just struck by like both of y'all kind of thinking about space and time, you know, like Jess is studying geography at Berkeley and thinking about Black women's relationship to space and geography and just the geography of y'all's home, Liz, and how y'all curated a sacred geography within your home, even though it was tight, even though it was small. And a lot of my dissertation, I write about this, just how Black women curate healing spaces at home when we don't have a whole lot of space at home, but we gonna make it healing with what we got. And, you know, my dissertation is called I See You, Sis. And so I was just thinking about how you talk a lot about like what it means to see and be seen and how that becomes a part of how we can understand our relationship to space and time as Black women by like seeing ourselves reflected in past versions of Black womanhood. And there was another image that you had submitted. You submitted a few different things, but like one of the images was like an archival photo of like two young Black women who were like in a queer love relationship with each other and like holding each other really beautifully. And it was like, so Liz, you know, because it was just so like your ability to find and document in the present, in the past, and in the future, these undertold and decentered narratives about what it's looked and felt like to be a Black woman, to be a queer Black woman, like across space and time, is just really powerful. And I love how like you and Adana's process is almost like a contemporary version, you know what I mean, of that like sisterly love. So yeah, I appreciate so much how you approach your process. And just one more thing that you said that I really appreciated too was just like creating just to creating for our healing and not having judgment be a part of that process. And that was really important for this exhibition, y'all, because when I put out the call, I was like, everybody's going to be accepted. Nobody's getting turned away. If you're a Black woman and you created anything, submit whatever you made, and we going to find a way to put it somewhere in this virtual exhibition. So we had like some of my homegirls submitted a picture of their babies. Some people just submitted like some inner child drawings they had done. So it was an encouragement of just like, what you do to survive is art, and you don't have to be formally trained. You don't I never studied art in school, but my healing was me studying art. Like I studied art through my healing because my healing required me to create to keep my sanity and be well. And I love just when you talked about these moments of like having art parties and like creating with your loved ones. Because anytime I'm with my homegirls or with my mom and my sister, I'm always like, come on, let's have an art party. And that's one of my favorite things to do. Just, we got the markers, the crayons, the art supplies, and we just letting ourselves go. And when you said this, like, I just trust my hands, it's so powerful. And that's been an important part of this course as well, that like we can create freely, not because we're trying to be perfect, but because like energy moves through our creations. And as we move that energy, we like affirm ourselves and our process. So I appreciate y'all so much. And the last question I want to ask before we get into questions in a few minutes is if y'all could just talk briefly about like, how is your artistic practice rooted in like ancestral and spiritual work, and like particularly around genealogy work? Like you both have kind of talked about some of the Black feminist thinkers and writers and creatives and artists that have inspired you. But just wondering if y'all could say a little bit more about that. And this is our final question. If there's anything else that y'all also wanted to add before we open it up for our Q&A, feel free to. So we could go to Jess and then close out with Liz and then jump into our Q&A.
Okay, I'll try to be quick, but I forgot to tell you, Reed, that I did this. I think I sent you that video of me creating the mirror. Okay, so yeah, I did this recent art project just for myself. I needed to use this new tool, a spiritual tool, this handheld mirror, and so I was decorating the back of it. And it was through one of my spiritual mentors and coaches that I work with since last year, was like, you need to, tap into Oshun energy and, the mirror. So like design and get creative. I know you got it in you. And I was like, okay. So this is like a spiritual tool for me, to see my truth and to see, myself as I am, and to affirm myself. So it is definitely part of my process. So yeah, that day I had all my candles, and honored ancestors, had water, had food for them. And I had, pictures of all kinds of iterations of myself, from baby Jess to teenager Jess and into 20-year-old Jess, all the hairstyles in the world. So I had them just with me, and I was pouring in into this practice, but of designing it. I had all kinds of embellishments, seashells, and all things that I've been kind of collecting, even old earrings, because I have so many earrings, and I had a couple that have lost their sisters, and I'm oh, but I'm I'm not gonna give this up. I just want to use it. I'm gonna put it on something and design it, and I did that. So it's kind of just this mixture of everything that was me, and it was just this most powerful integrative art practice and praxis that I've done. And it was just like, it was just beautiful. I made a whole playlist while I created. And I just was like listening and meditating with it. I'll be happy to share with y'all too if y'all want. It's just like such a beautiful ceremony. It's called Oshun Ceremony. It's on Spotify. I'll drop the link for y'all, and that'll be my offering. But it was just such a powerful experience. And so that's how I kind of connect with ancestors, and through that. And again, like if I'm at the ocean and I'm creating, I do offerings and I sing a song, or I do, I put my hair in the ocean or something just to like show up and offer. Yeah. Yeah, Shay.
And yeah, I was so moved when you sent me what you had created in the playlist. Like, girl, you be putting me onto all the healing songs that I would have never found. I love that playlist. So yes, please drop it in the chat for the folks. Thank you, sis.
I believe the question was, how do we pay homage to our Black feminist artists, correct?
Ancestors, and thinking about the genealogy work that you started to mention. And I'm hoping you can also tell the folks more about the Lavandula Project and just the ways that you're creating opportunities for Black women to be in community around thinking about like our writing and creativity as like being a part of a lineage and a genealogy.
Yes. Okay. All right, y'all. So honestly, the biggest way that I revere my Black feminist visual art ancestors, but ancestors in general, my whole life's work is dedicated to tracing genealogies and recovering history and situating my own art practices, whether it's from before, in the present, or in the future. In the idea of their gardens. And so, like we mentioned, I have a passion project called the Lavandula Project, and essentially was actually also born right after, a little bit after the time that Adana and I took our photos. It was just another way to extend community, to have more rich conversations about what it meant to pair the literary with the visual. And it was also an extension of my master's thesis around our mother's garden. And so I'm just going to share with you all, this is literally a living, breathing entity that I will continue for the rest of my life. If God forbid something happened to me tomorrow, my friends, my closest loved ones will know that this is something that I am so very passionate about. Even when I'm thinking about finding a life partner, this is something that I want them to celebrate me in, because it just means so much to me, being an artist, because I'm only here because of them, and I'm here because of the people that will come after me. So I'm going to share my website with you all. It's private at the time, but I will also want to work on it when I start school in August. Can everyone see my screen? So I'm not going to take too long, but essentially, when I was looking at Alice Walker's questions, I was thinking about three main things, which is the mind and body, theory and practice, lineage and legacy, and essentially making the argument that you need all three of these things to understand exactly what it means to read images and unlock the power of having that kind of literacy to aid you in whichever revolution you're trying to be a part of and participate in within the community. And so the biggest thing for me as an artist is to know my history. And that's something that I like to encourage, that I intend on using as one of the biggest just ways of encouraging folks to get deeper into their own art practices. And so for me, paying homage is knowing that history, and like I said, situating yourself within the context of that lineage. And so when I say I start with Sojourner Truth, I start with Sojourner Truth, okay? And to me, I call her the mother of self-portraits. And so from then on, I just keep going. I talk about Madam C.J. Walker having a theater in the early 20th century. Who talks about a Black woman having a theater in the early 20th century? I'm sure a lot of people do, but it's not as visible these days. And so that I definitely want to be a part of that movement to make it more visible. And here's another picture of the theater. There goes my favorite Octavia Butler. You can never forget about Cumbia River Collective. And this is an image. I don't know if you all know Dr. Deborah Willis. She is a pioneer in the Black portrait history and canon. And she had told me when I showed her this that Carrie literally said, you know, do not let me be forgotten. And I didn't even know that before I put this image in my timeline, but this is Carrie Beth Cryer in 1979 photographing her birth in the hospital, the birth of her child, which is a really provocative image. And so, you know, all this to say, and then I go into the 90s, I go into the 2000s, but what's important for me is in the 90s, understanding that this is also a time that Black women especially started to write about images and what it meant to be a visual critic, what it meant to understand the gaze, what it meant to be a spectator, and what it meant to reclaim agency and knowing that although the medium of images were not initially intended for our liberation, we definitely reclaimed it, and it is ours now to have. And so this is the biggest way that I'm revering my ancestors, the biggest way that I am grounding myself in my work. And I don't think this is also a life force for me. When Audre Lorde talks about the erotic, this is my erotic outside of my body. So I hope to share more with you all sometime in the future. But yes, and then I have a little mini library, and I just want to reiterate the reason why reading images is so important, because every day you wake up and you use your phone, you look in the mirror, you have a dream, you know, you have dreams and images. I just want folks to understand that there's language to that, and I want us to find the power in knowing that language and creating new languages for each other, because images they can be used for many things. So yes, so that's it.
Thank you so much, Liz. Your work is so powerful, and I can't wait until we can all access it. So thank you.
I know, you were like, when is it gonna be published?
Right, when is the website gonna drop?
It's beautiful, Liz.
So
I just want to do right by y'all. I feel like I got to do my due diligence and make sure I'm researching things correctly and placing them where they need to be.
But listen, and I'm gonna say this because we just talked about not judging our process, and I just want to affirm for you and for all of us, like, something I've been saying to myself is pretty, not perfect. Like, it ain't gotta be perfect. It's gonna be pretty though. This exhibition on Friday that is stressing me, it's gonna be pretty, not perfect. So
amazing.
Thank you. Like this website. So I hope that we can give ourselves permission to share. Even just, I want to honor and affirm you, sis. I know this was huge for you, sharing your work and honoring your creativity. But like, I hope we can share our art in ways that don't have the pressure of perfection, that we don't feel like we need to cling so tight until we get it exactly how we want it before we release it to the world. Like, sometimes we can share our art and it could just be what it is and where it is. It's a work in progress, and the art is beautiful as it is in this phase of it as well. And so, Liz, I just want to give you permission to honor the art that you have curated and created, and hope that you can release some of that perfectionism so that we could get the link. Because I think the sisters want the link. You said you're trying to do us justice. We just want the link.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Thank you, sis. So with that, I want to just open it up for a round of questions. If you are new, again, we're so glad to have you here. We normally just do one round of questions. So now is the time you could raise your hand if you have any questions, or if you want to put any questions in the chat for our wonderful panelists. And we'll take all of y'all's questions now, and then we'll invite the panelists to respond, and then we'll close out. So does anyone have any questions? I also, as we're doing Q&A, if there's any artists who are in the building, artists who are from the Black Girl Quarantine exhibition, also please let us know that you are in the building so we can honor, celebrate, and affirm you as well. Okay, Tiffany Nicole wants y'all social media, so please drop that in the chat for the homegirls. Thank you. Perfection is the enemy of the good. Ashe. Thank you, Smiley. Abina says, I'm new here. Will we have any more of these? Unfortunately, this is our last one. This is our final panel of our teaching series, which has been going on for this whole quarter, but sign up for our listserv and we'll give y'all updates on what we got coming up next. Yes, and they are also posted on YouTube. Thank y'all for putting your IGs in the chat. Any final questions, reflections, comments before we close? All right, y'all done gave the people what they needed today. We is just honoring the
One quick thing.
yes. Who just unmuted? Let me see. Somebody had a question.
Oh, sorry, that was me, Smiley. I just right now.
Uh-oh, Smiley, is it just me? Is Smiley breaking up? Okay.
Or was it?
I'm sorry, boo, you breaking up. Can you write your question in the chat for me and then I could read it for you? You just was breaking up, but it's so good to hear your beautiful voice. Okay, yeah, it wasn't just me. Amy says, so beautiful. I resonated so much. Amy is an amazing, brilliant painter who I'm so excited to announce. Drum y'all ready? Because you heard it here first. Amy is going to be doing a pop-up community paint experience at our exhibition, y'all, on Friday and Saturday. So come through on Friday. Check Amy out. Check us out. It's going to be dope. Thank you, Amy. So glad.
I'm sad I'm gonna miss it. My daughter's graduating, but you have to do it in the community more because I will show up. That's amazing. Yes. Aw.
And Smiley, okay, so yeah, okay, I see you. Smiley said, just very thankful for the convo and the affirmation. Smiley is also an amazing artist from San Francisco, doing all performance art and interdisciplinary, radical Black women's spiritual art, all that good stuff. And the links for the Friday's exhibition, thank you, Adana. Adana has just dropped it in the chat. So please check us out. Go ahead and register. We got free food, good vibes. Y'all will see art featured in this space, Jessica's art, Lizette's art, and 100 artworks for and by Black women from across the country featured in this exhibition. So I hope y'all will come through. And I want to thank our panelists so much for inviting us into our creativity without judgment, for inviting us to connect more deeply with our ancestors and our genealogies and our spirit guides through art and artistry and creativity. And thank y'all for trusting me with your art and for allowing me to share your art in this space and also in our physical space. We curated Black Girl Quarantine in 2021 virtually because of the pandemic. And so this is the very first in-person installation, a full installation of the exhibit in the physical space. So we're super excited for Friday. And I know both of y'all will be there in spirit, and I will look forward to sharing photos and videos and all that good stuff with y'all. All right, family. So at this time, we are going to fill out our surveys. Adana, if you could please drop that link in the chat. And also, I have a really important announcement. If you have been coming to this teaching series and you have attended at least 5 sessions, you can receive a free certificate from UCSF Repair. So Adana, if you can also drop that link in the chat for the folks who are not in the community course, but who have been coming to this space. Maybe you are a tier 2 participant. Maybe you are a community member who just been tapping in. But if you done came to 5, fill out that survey and we can get you a free certificate. You can add that to your resume, sprinkle some sauce on it, and do whatever else you need to do to allow this UCSF experience to work for you in reciprocity. All right. So that link is in the chat. And then we also will be putting a link in the chat. I'm sorry, I see y'all need some permission. Let me make sure that all the permissions are updated for y'all to be able to have access there. So we will fill out that form, and we'll also be doing our survey form. And our survey is an opportunity to let these panelists know how they spoke to your spirit. So Adana's going to put the survey form in there as well. And I'm going to play some tunes. I think I'm going to play Jessica. I'm going to play some of the songs Jessica done sent me. Since you were in the building, we're going to go to Jess playlist. And if you have any song recs, let me know.
Can I also share a quick announcement?
Yes,
I just got a pop-up email just right now, y'all. I got a cute grant this summer, just got accepted the congratulations on the headings, and it's one of my projects that are finally I've been applying for grants for this project called Mamahood Revolution, centering Black mothers, and it's going to be an art exhibition this summer. So I am super juiced. I just saw the email and said congratulations, and I'm like, so anyway, and this
the timing. Come on, the timing.
Right. I'm super juiced. And it's called Awakenings, Inner Voyages, and Remembrance of Mamahood Revolution. And this is perfect. So spirit is so good. It's like perfect timing, especially for me to think about and reflect my mamahood with my daughter. So it's going to be visual arts, it's going to be poetry, it's going to be photography. So if anyone's interested, let me know too. Hit me up. I'm gonna put my email, or I put my social media, wherever is convenient for y'all. But I'm really juiced about that, and I hope y'all can attend. It'd be dope. It's going to be in Oakland. More details.
I'm proud of you. Yes, please let us know how we can stay tapped in to get all of those details so that we can support this work. I'm so excited for you, sis. And also, Liz, we got some people in Atlanta, so let the people know how they could come support the film that you are working on now as well. And then we're going to get into these things.
Yes, who is in Atlanta? Let me put you on. And maybe I could come out to Cali one day when I get some funds from memory, hopefully, to bring it. I completed a documentary last summer on 7 Black queer couples here in Atlanta. It's a sitting interview, but we are going live for the first time on Friday for the Atlanta community. A couple of the couples have not seen the film yet, so I'm excited for them to see themselves and hear their stories. I think it's going to be a really good turnout, but if you are here, someone said, Ashia, come on down. It's at Peter Street Station, 8 p.m. Get there early because the parking is a little bit tight, but it's going to be really great. And if anybody wants to see the trailer or anything of the film, it's called In Loving Color, Black Queer Love on Film. We have an Instagram. It's at In Loving Color Film. So at In Loving Color Film. If anybody wants to check us out from afar and just sprinkle a little love energy, But yes, we are having our screening on Friday for the first time, the first public screening. So I'm really excited, and I need to see it because dating has been tumultuous these past couple months. So I just need to be reminded that love is the possibilities of love are essentially endless. So
I feel you on dating. I feel you. I'm not going back on the street.
okay.
I'm gonna date myself for a minute because the streets,
Like, please, wife, come get me.
You know, people are going people, so we just have to just do the work, and you know, hopefully someone will just like show us different. But you know,
Right? They said it comes when you're not looking. I feel like this.
for real.
I'm so proud of y'all, and I'm so excited that we have opportunities to tap in more with y'all's work and to celebrate and honor all that y'all are creating. So thank you so much. And I want to also let y'all know, I think I updated the access. So y'all let me know if you can get into that Google form so that you can. Okay, wonderful. Talia said it. We're go ahead, get your certificate, sis. Who else been up in here? Alexis, I see you in here, sis. Go ahead, get your certificate. If you have come for 5 or more sessions, please get your certificate, sis. Okay, period. And if you are finished filling that form out, go ahead and fill out that survey. Adana, if you could please drop that survey link in the chat for us one more time so that we can just shower our brilliant, wonderful, powerful, amazing panelists with some love and affirmations to let them know how they resonated with y'all. We are going to play one song, maybe 2. This is one of my favorite songs that Jess ever sent to me. This is 444. So we're gonna go here. And then let me know.
For myself and my family.
Let me know if you got a song.
Came to the States, had a dream. I'm a visionary, really legendary. Worked hard for days, had no doubt. Now we in a house and we safe in love. I'll make you proud, make you proud. You're my heart, so without a doubt, without a doubt. I'll make you proud, make you proud. Without a doubt, without a doubt. Now I'm manifesting the life of my dreams. I do believe. I'm visualizing till my soul's at ease, till my spirit leaves.
I just dropped the link to that song. If y'all want to listen for yourself, it's called 444. And we're gonna let it rock. We're probably gonna close out in about 1 minute. Just want to make sure that everyone has filled out those surveys. If you got a sis who been coming but wasn't here today, but you think she did 5, go ahead and send her that certificate. Send her that certificate link to make sure that we can honor y'all and y'all's journey of rocking with us for this whole series. It has been so powerful. Thank y'all for rocking with us. The Black Feminist Healing Arts teaching series. Okay. And Liz gave us a song, Wreck. All right, we're going to close out with Liz's song. I don't know if I know this one. Okay, put me on, sis. I don't know this one.
Sweet in Bombay. Sweet I'm just
Sound like a Liz song, got a little old school flavor.
I'm just grateful today. Yeah. Sunshine, clear skies, every sunset, moonlight, I'm just cruising. I wake up grateful every day, covered in favor, doused in grace. Only good vibes rolling through my way. Thankful that the Lord woke me up today. Got a loving family and solid friends. Unsettled rides with me till the end. Car in a crib, I ain't late on rent. All of my blessings I haven't seen. Heaven sent.
Thank you, Liz. I love that. She said, I ain't late on rent and it's May 31st.
Yeah.
Come on, let's speak that.
That was cute. Oh yeah.
That just proves.
That's going on the playlist. That's gonna be in the arsenal for sure.
Yes, where can I find your playlist too?
I know. I sent it earlier. I'll put it in there. That's how I design, y'all. I've been making playlists for my loved ones. I'll be sending random songs here and there to loved ones. Ree, I'll be sending you songs like, oh, you gotta listen to this joint. It's good. But I'll send.
We always got the best songs. Yes.
I know. She had made the black, what was it, Black Hair Feminist?
Black Girl Feel Good. I'm gonna put it in the chat for y'all as well. This is our Black Girl Feel Good playlist. It's the official playlist for our teaching series, for our course, for all things Black women healing. If y'all want to continue the healing vibes. Side note, I just tapped into Summer Walker's The Soft Life. Did y'all get into it yet? Because it's just been on repeat all day, every day for the past 48 hours. So y'all gonna find a new Summer Walker on there as well. And my spirit is deeply touched. I think I want to write an article about how deeply touched I am by that. If anyone's interested in co-authoring, y'all let me know. Yes, Soft Life. Soft Life.
Oof. Softness is a superpower.
But what's deep, okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and we're gonna close out because we gotta go to our class. What I love about the album, she got a song called Hard Life, and she talking about, like, is it possible for Black women to have a soft life because life be so hard for us? Like, when we gonna really get permission to live a soft life? And then when J. Cole said, I hope that, like, you ain't have complications with your birth. It's layered, y'all. I really got to write an article about it because it touched my spirit and invited me into a new level of healing in the past 48 hours. So I'm having a moment. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. Oh yes, Ife. I sent this song to Ife yesterday. So yes, and Alexis, I'm glad y'all been getting into the soft life, and those songs are also on our playlist. So we will turn to Adana to close us out, and to my community students. I'll see y'all in 1 second. Adana, you had one more thing you wanted to say before we close out?
Yes, just it's probably lost in the chat now, but if y'all scroll up, I put the link for this week's event. So Friday is the exhibition, which is open to everyone, allies, people of color, everybody. And then the Saturday is the healing retreat, which is just for Black women. I can put it once more. And then I also put the link to our YouTube that hosts all of the classes. So if you miss any of them, they are archived there forever. And then I put the resource guide along with like adding yourself to the listserv for future offerings. I can add that again if anybody needs that. But yes, for the Eventbrite for all this week's happenings.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adana. Can we just give Adana a round of applause? This could not happen without Adana's hard work to bringing these visions to life, working behind the scenes tirelessly to make this course and this exhibition series happen. So we see you, sis. We appreciate you so much for holding it down. And if you could also just drop the link for the work that you do in the chat so that the people can also meet the amazing work that you're doing as well. And the final announcement for real before we go, we need some volunteers, y'all. The exhibition is going to be amazing and beautiful, and we need some help. So if anyone has any capacity, even if you just got 1 hour to lend 2 hands, if you just could come say hello to people as they walk in the door, we just need a little bit of support, particularly from Black women who can welcome Black women into the sacred space that we're curating Friday and Saturday. So I dropped my email in the chat for y'all. Please email me if you have any capacity to come through and support. Everyone is welcome to volunteer on Friday, Saturday, Black women only volunteers, but we appreciate y'all so much. This series, y'all see, I really don't even want to go. This is the end of our teaching series. I'm just having a moment because it's been so beautiful. It's been so beautiful. And I've just been so moved by all of the dynamic Black women who have blessed us in this space. So I just want to take a moment to honor and acknowledge this series that is coming to a close. But this is not goodbye. This is see y'all later. So please make sure that y'all stay tapped in with us for more opportunities to continue to connect with Black women healing, as well as this beautiful sacred community of Black women in this space. All right, y'all. So with that, I'm going to continue to play Grateful. And I'm going to close out our room in about 30 seconds. Go ahead and DM any last person you want to connect with. Go ahead and write any last things in the chat that you wanted to share. To my community course students, I'll see y'all in 1 second in our class to do some processing.
Food ain't that nice? How nice? Oh, it sure is nice. Sure is nice, and that's why I wake up grateful every day. Covered in flavor, doused in grace. Only good vibes rolling through my way. Thankful that the Lord woke me up today. Got a loving family and solid friends, ones that'll ride for me till the end. Car and a crib, I ain't late on rent. All of my blessings I ever intended.
Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank y'all for the gift of your creativity, artistry, and brilliance in this space. Appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you so much for all the work you do, seen and unseen, boo. We appreciate you.
Love y'all.
Dr. Reed.
Dr. Liz. I'm gonna just start calling you Dr. Liz.
Reed, I told you, this is going to be my hands for the next 5-6 years.
You got this, boo. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Take care. Bye.